dreams and dilations from cheap ways out with long durations. Oh, bless your parents, oh, bless your patience, 'cause there's still time for breaking voice until all your vices become drugs of choice. Just memorize when it hypnotizes, rolling back your eyes, baby, don't fake suicide.
The title, Songs About Dancing and Drugs, is really sort of in this lineage of albums. I always loved the titles, like of Leonard Cohen's albums. They were always songs from a room or songs about love and hate. The Talking Heads had more songs about buildings and food. Big Black had songs about fucking. I just kind of like the real directness of a title like that, where it states it so clearly what it's about that I think it actually gets you off the hook. The music generally discusses dance culture and drug culture, but from a sort of distance perspective, they're not 12-inch, dance cuts. They're generally slower than that, and they're generally more song-based. Or song-based in the sense of like a classic chorus. I'm not sure why you should listen to it, but I think it'd be a good idea if you did, definitely.
Well, the world is a better place, it's a better place. Now that everybody started to dance, now we're all dancers.
I started working on songs about dancing and drugs in probably late 2005, just after I'd finished something called the Fight Sounds EP. The songs kept morphing, really, so some of them went through probably 5 or 6 stages before they got to the level they're at now. When I'm working on music, I listen to a lot of folk music, I think possibly just because I'm not a trained musician, just for sort of ideas and in songwriting structures and stuff. I know I was listening to tons of Cat Stevens when I was doing songs about dancing and drugs, which doesn't really connect. Often what I do is kind of it's generally, this distance perspective of dance culture, of drug culture, from someone who has been a part of it, possibly saw a real, has seen the great parts of it, as well as the inevitable sort of decline of something like that, and the personal effects that result from taking too many drugs or going out too many nights in a row. In comparison to the previous Circlesquare records, I think that was a goal, was those records definitely have the sense of me sitting in a studio just like this by myself for days on end, kind of, fine-tuning everything to the most sort of rigid kind of, motoric sort of structure. Whereas this new one, because I was writing the songs while we as a band were playing live, that was hugely influential I think in the final product. So we would be performing these songs and figuring out what really was working on stage, and then would bring that back into the studio, and that's influenced this hugely, definitely. So there is this. It feels a lot more alive to me, a lot more almost like something's almost off a little bit. Dale Butterfield that plays the drums on the record. Dale is always like someone I pass. I run everything by him. He's been playing with me since 2004. And then Trevor Larson is the guitarist that came in 2006. Part of this sort of loose, sort of dangerous sound, I think, to the record that comes from Trevor's playing. So having those two guys during this process has been it's been great, and has definitely influenced has definitely, you know, morphed the band into something. And it's functioning so much more as a live machine now. Initially, having visuals was because I was uncomfortable on stage, and I really didn't like, I had a huge stage fright, and I liked the idea of people being able to watch a video rather than watch me. But as it's progressed, I mean, it's something I've always really enjoyed, is like a real production, a real, not spectacle, but more than just a band on stage. And I think the music that I've always made is got a real sort of cinematic approach, so it's really gone hand in hand. We're at a point where, you know, because the record is varied, because the sound of Circlesquare is varied, there is, you know, we could play a more clubby venue one night, and then, you know, a theater the next, a sort of sit-down theater, and that is definitely an idea, is to try and break up where we're playing. But yeah, it's definitely, you know, subverting things lyrically, or setting expectations for something and then doing something completely, or, you know, doing something different than the expectation you set. I think that's in keeping with the title as well. I think I really like kind of toying with that sensibility.